Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Well, something happened to my camera. Look at that. Fix that. Fix that. I'll fix you. You know what? It's like when my wife comes in, touches the computer. Excuse me. She always moves stuff. What's with that? Everything is perfectly in an ergonomic position. It should never need to be moved. That's what I think. Anyways, so we've had a couple crazy days here. Here's the e-mini right now. So yesterday there was all that trade war stuff, and then at the end of the day, they labeled China a currency manipulator, and we gapped lower on the open, the overnight extended session open, and then we've since recovered that in the E-mini, and you can see similar behavior in the Treasuries. So nothing like insane happened overnight, so I guess that's good, right? So that's where we're at. Good morning, Implosion Pro. How's it going? Nice to see you again. A little bit of iceberging right there at 21.5. And some big bids showing up. So the big boys are out there, and I guess they are buying. Safi, hey, I saw you leaving comments earlier. So what's your question? Great content here. I'm doing some research on Top Step Trader. What would you like to see improved on this platform? Oh, do I not follow you on Twitter, Impulsion? Hold on, let me find you. Because you totally follow me on Twitter. I know you do. I feel so bad. Okay, hold on, and then I'll answer your question, Safi. Saif Elahi. Oh, I am following you. This says I'm following you. Cool. Okay, so Saif, the thing with Top Step is, and since I made that video, I probably should make a follow-up video. I'm thinking about making a follow-up because a lot of things have changed since then. But, I've been doing pretty good since I made that video. I've had some pretty good times and I've had some pretty awful times. I think things are going pretty well for me right now. But a really big thing changed since then, and the big thing that changed is that we have micro futures now. And so Top Step Trader, before it was kind of like, okay, if you know what you're doing and you know that you'll pass the combine, then it's a great opportunity. But that person is probably not very likely to want to take that opportunity because they're probably already making a ton of money on their own. If you're new, it was a good way to kind of get started, and it was an easier way to get data and stuff like that, and to learn how to set your platform up and all that sort of a thing. But you probably weren't going to pass, and it wasn't really worth it to do the combine over and over again and hope that you get lucky and pass, because it's just the target that they want is just too aggressive. But now that we have micro futures, it's like, what's the point? What's the point if you have the micro futures? You're going to spend $150 on a combine. You could just put that money into an account. You could just put that money into an account and trade the micro futures, and hey, you might blow it all. It's fine, because it's not a lot of, it's $150 or whatever. And that would be better experience because it's live. So at this point, I think that Top Step Trader is probably not going to be making a whole lot of money anymore from all of those failed combines, and they're going to have to rethink their business model. And I'm not exactly sure what the perfect way to do it is, but I'm I would say that probably the best thing that they could do is to focus on new traders and find some way to make an effective program, education of some sort that would, help out the new traders get profitable faster. Okay, this market is kind of starting to move. I'm wondering if there's something. Donald Trump did tweet earlier, massive amounts of money from China and other parts of the world is pouring into the United States for reasons of safety, investment, and interest rates. We are in a very strong position. Companies are also coming to the U.S. in big numbers, a beautiful thing to watch. He is right. I'm having a hard time reading this stuff way over here. I don't know what to do about it, but I feel like that my head is like all the way over here, and I don't like it. Maybe I should just finally shell out for that base amount. Minimum deposit 500? Is it 500 still? I think that they actually decreased it. I could be wrong about. I'm probably wrong about that. Let's see, how can we move this? Let's try that. Oh, you know what? I was just thinking, maybe let's try something new. Let's try something new, guys. We're going to do something weird. We used to do this. I guess it's not something new. But it's something that we used to do. Let's see here. User settings, notifications. I don't have anywhere for my freaking water bottle with the way that is. Okay. Text to speech. Okay. So, AMP with CQG and Sierra chart. Yeah, I kind of thought that they had changed it, but I guess they didn't. I think that Ninja Trader brokerage decreased their minimum deposit for sure. Okay, so somebody say something. Somebody say something. Or wait, I can say something. I can do it in the stream channel, right?
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Impulsion _Pro I work on Sierra chart.
Oh, Sierra chart is really popular.
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Impulsion _Pro very good.
So I don't like that it reads the name of the person that said something every time. But I'm trying to find a way that I can kind of keep my eyes up here because I have to turn my whole head to read. And I don't like that. And I want to watch this action here. You really gotta watch it carefully because there's so little liquidity. It just kind of ticks around. You'll miss it. Markets are now suggesting the highest risk of recession since 2011, only slightly less than half over the next year. The collapse in medium and long-term interest rates is ominous. Says Larry Summers. Oh. Well, I think that the possibility of a recession within the next year is really high.
Rest Ream Bot said YouTube. Wrong ZH yes.
I don't know if that's going to work, guys. What do you think?
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Impulsion _Pro do you use the VWAP?
I do. I really like the VWAP. But yeah, I haven't found it very useful lately. I don't know. there kind of is this thing where like you'll spend the whole day below or the whole day above the VWAP, and then it's a really, really great place to look for a trade. And then you kind of get into those rangy markets where it will spend equal time on both sides, and then if you're using the VWAP as a guide, it um, can kind of make things harder. But I've been finding that using the overnight opening range.
Rest Ream Bot said YouTube. Wrong ZH he.
Right. If it just said wrong he, then I would be okay. I don't know. Anyways, so I find that the opening range is a really, really great level to use, as is the regular session open. Which, by the way, now that we got all that, let's come over here and load all this, huh? So we clear and load levels. And what was the open was at 21.5. Didn't put it in for me for some reason. I mean, when the market is really moving around a lot, I kind of find that you don't even need
Rest
them.
Ream Bot said Twitch, Impulsion_Pro lot of algorithms are on VWAP.
Totally. So the way that I would use it is I wouldn't necessarily use the VWAP as like a signal or as a level to look at entering per se, but rather, expect the action to be different if you're above the VWAP or below the VWAP, right? Without question, though, you absolutely have to know where it is. So when we come up to the VWAP, you're gonna see behavior almost every time. You're gonna see something, and if you don't realize that price is the VWAP, you might misread it for something else. U.S. warns Turkey against invading Kurdish-controlled northern Syria.
Rest
Vows to
Ream
step
Bot
up
said
talks to
Twitch,
prevent incursion.
Impulsion_Pro okay.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of backtesting in the past, and I would have a indicator. So like one of the indicators that we're using was like an impulse, which kind of shows a really, really short-term burst of momentum that was really good at detecting that some sort of a reversal had happened. And when I was backtesting that one, I found that if I modified which trades I took based on whether we were above or below the VWAP, that it made a huge difference. I also have a theory, but I've never been able to think up of a really good way to test this. But I have a theory that if we're like, if we're above the larger moving, like the 10-day moving average or whatever it is, some daily moving average, if we're like on an uptrend based on the daily moving average, but we're on a downtrend based on the VWAP, I think that there might be peculiar behavior in those kinds of situations too. Different kind of trade, because I know that when we had the algorithms at Goldman Sachs, although I was not intimately aware of what the algorithms looked at specifically from talking to people, those were things that it considered. Was like, what's the daily trend and all that sort of thing. So, while there's been a lot of activity here in this area, I suspect that we may continue to move up, but I just don't see a good
Rest Ream Bot said
here.
YouTube. Wrong ZH. How often you change strategy or you add something to your setup?
How often do you change your strategy or add something to your setup? That's a good question. I mean, you've been around, so maybe you tell me. I think that I really like to keep it the same. I mean, I would say maybe I might change something once a quarter. You know, like I changed something here in the summer. I changed a lot of things. Um, Largely because I had developed this indicator kind of just for fun. Oh, that was a pull there. Some offers pulled. Does that mean we're going to move down? But I don't like taking those ones where we've come out of the zipper because
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Impulsion_Pro. What you mean of spoofing?
what you mean of spoofing? Yeah, they I don't know if it was a spoof per se. Let's see here. What were the polls? They were pretty far out. Okay, there was a bid at 20 that pulled. That's why we ticked it down. I can't say that it was a pull, but my observation has been that when we move and you see I need to describe this better. So we had a move down and the offers pulled. So the other way thing would be if we had a move up and the bids pulled. So normally what you would expect to see is if we're having a move in a certain direction, that you would see the liquidity behind it solidify, right? But I have found that if you see a move and the liquidity behind it pulls, that it tends to move more because, and I believe my theory is at least that the reason it does that is because those were people that were algorithms that really did want to get filled at those levels and are realizing that they're not going to get filled. I think that could be what it is, because when that happens, it tends to move. But I still just don't like this location, especially when we're right here at the volume point of controls, kind of. Anyways, what was I saying before that? We're talking about how often we add things to our setup. So I changed my setup because I had, stumbled across this thing and I said, well, I want to incorporate it. So I watched it for 2 weeks and collected some stats on it. And then, I've been trading with that as a stronger guide. But I use it primarily to determine like my location. It's still which way I choose to go is still very discretionary and just based on what I see from the action. Larry Summers says, currency manipulator tag for China a problematic designation? Why? Because everyone knows that the Fed manipulates the dollar? Donald Trump tweets again, as they have learned in the last 2 years, our great American farmers know that China will not be able to hurt them and that their president has stood with them and has done what no other president would do, and I'll do it again next year if necessary. Well, I would sincerely hope that it would not be necessary next year, because if you are a farmer, you gotta be crazy if you're growing something and planning on selling it to China. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. So yeah, I don't know if that was a spoof or not. I'm getting lost now. I think that you've got to trade something for a long time. I think that something that people will do is you get a strategy.
Ream Bot said YouTube.
Hold on.
Saif Ilahi Seth, do you think there is scope for a business that does something similar to Top Step, but not based on profits, rather consistency? Would be great to talk.
So it's a good question. So actually, as I was about to get into, something that I've found will happen is somebody will use a strategy for a week or maybe 2 weeks or maybe even a month. And it might like work really well at first and they say, this is great. and then the next month it doesn't work, and so they give up on it. They say, oh well, it doesn't work. I think that we seem to have a really odd expectation about how consistent a retail trader can be. I have found that I do really, really well at the beginning of the year, like the first 3 months of the year. Um, I
Rest
can.
Greenbot said
Oh,
YouTube. All go lover GM nerd face.
hey, how's it going? Tell me what you guys, if just as we're going along at any time during the stream, your opinion about the
Rest
readouts.
Greenbot said YouTube. All go lover 8:19 a.m. All go lover /ES if buyers hold /sustain bid above 2839.25, then 2875.25 target. If 2839.25 breaks before trading higher, then anticipate deeper pullback nerd face.
Okay. So he is actually looking at for it to extend higher though. That's interesting. Anyways, so like I was saying, so I don't think that you want to change your setup until you've done it and practiced it for a few months, like 3 months or something. Because like you've done it for a month, you're still just starting to understand it. You're still just starting to understand
Rest
how it
Greenbot said
reacts in
YouTube.
different
Wrong
markets,
ZHLOL.
how it
Rest
reacts.
Greenbot said YouTube. All go lover thumbs up.
Right, right. But you're still just getting into, you know, how it works, learning things about it. And so, you know, for the combines, man, 1 month, 1 month evaluation is not enough. It's certainly not enough. You could have even with what they do at Top Step, where you do 1 month and then you have to pass it again. It's not enough because you could be in a really active market and then you come out into a slow market and you lose it all, you know? So I do think that there's something to say like for me I can say I've had really good runs. I've had good quarters. I've definitely had periods of time since I made that video that I would pass a combine, but I have not been able to put together a profitable year yet. And but how do you do that in a combine? I really don't know. I think that maybe something that would be better is um, some sort of like, let's say you can trade whatever you're trading, um, and whatever way you're trading, but maybe you just have something that reports your results at the end of the day, reliably to some service, like what we have in Jigsaw. It does the stats, and you can show everybody your live stats that way with Jigsaw. Um, and and then they have leaderboards and everything like that, and then you could be selected for funding based on your yearly performance, and you're paying a small fee to be considered for that instead of $150 every month. It's just a moneymaker. Was thinking of a product more designed to help traders actually succeed while also being profitable. Yeah, and that's the other thing is you gotta have. I think that in order for Top Step to stay in business, they're going to have to provide more value to new traders, which probably means some sort of education. If buyers hold any pullback above 1461, oh, this is gold. I don't necessarily care about gold, but I'm sure that some other people might. Trade you DAX. I don't even get the data for the DAX, so I can just kind of switch things around here. So like if I'm yapping, then I can turn it off, and then if I'm not yapping, I can turn it back on. Maybe, I don't know.
Rest Reambot said YouTube. Sa'i Philahi thanks Seth.
Hey, thank you. And thanks for coming in and chatting and for leaving a comment on my video. Comments always help. And I'm glad to hear that there are people
Rest
still looking
Reambot
at
said
things like that.
YouTube. Saifila he would really like to talk in more detail when you're free.
Sure. You can email me. Here, I'll give you right here. My email is, um, that's my email. Yeah, it should have sent it to YouTube. So you can send me a message there, but probably the best way to talk to me is to just send me a private message on the Discord. So, and I'm totally willing to have long extended conversation in the YouTube comments too. So if you want to have, leave a top level comment on a video and we can go back and forth there too if it's something that you think maybe other people could contribute to. Or you could, also just talk about it in either the brokers and platforms channel or just the lobby of the Discord, because I'm sure that there'd be plenty of people that would be willing to add their opinion. This is kind of interesting action here because
Rest Reambot said YouTube. All go love HAGD.
hey,
Thumbs up.
You too. You have a good day
Rest
too.
Reambot said YouTube. Saifila he thanks Seth.
Yeah, no problem. So
Rest Reambot said Twitch. Shalian _ hey Seth, do you have any tips regarding trading psychology? I have managed to beat the 1-up evaluation twice so far, but always fail the second part in record.
Due to tilt and nervousness, I take stupid trades, mess up stop loss and everything. Everything that I did right in the first step is wasted, and I do such a stupid
Rest
thing.
Reambot said YouTube. Saifila he whereabout is the Discord convo please.
Oh, hold on. Everything that I did right in the first step is wasted, and I do such a stupid thing. Normally, I have a daily loss limit of 300, but in the combine, I had a stupid negative 1,000 day, and afterwards, I was mega tilted. Oh man, I totally know what that is like because I have a tendency to tilt. Oh, Saif, the Discord link is in the video description of this video. You just scroll down a little bit. Yeah, so tilt is a hard thing because I think the thing that makes tilt so nasty, I guess you could say, is that it's hard to realize when you're in it. You know what I mean? And you can certainly use some, what is the word? You kind of give yourself some indications that you're on that. One of the things that I've done is I have a risk control just based on number of trades instead of on a dollar amount. So if I lose, and I've changed it recently because I've changed my strategy recently and I take more trades, but if I'm losing like 3 or 4 times in a row, it's usually best for me to stop, even if I'm not onto the daily limit. So that's one thing. Kind of, for me at least, because I'm here in the channel and I'm sharing my trades with other people, that kind of helps me hold me accountable too, although I've certainly tilted even with that. But I think that the biggest thing that I'm learning now, well, two things. Number one is if you're tilting, you should look at your strategy and ask yourself, how well defined is my strategy? Because sometimes our strategies, especially when we're starting out, are really just like kind of by feel. And with my recent changes to the strategy, one of the things that has happened is I have a very clear signal where I need to see a certain degree of activity and interest in the level 2 before I'm even going to think about making a trade. It's still discretionary, but it's like a specific, very, very specific setup that happens a lot that I have good statistics on. And that really, really helps me because I've had days where I took 2 or 3 small losers in a row, but then I kept trading this strategy and I came back and it was okay. And I knew that it was okay because I was taking the trades where I was supposed to take them, and I hadn't hit my loss limit yet, so it was okay. Um, so that's one thing, is maybe you need to nail down what your actual strategy is a little bit more and give yourself more rules. But then the other thing is that, and this is kind of the bigger thing, and maybe the thing that I think you're really looking for, is you just have to become more aware of yourself. And that is not something that just happens overnight. And so that's where I would do like meditation, um, do a lot of reading on this subject of mindfulness is the subject that I would search for on Google. And there's a lot of information out there about mindfulness. But just, at night, something that I do now is before I go to sleep, I tend to go and sit outside and just sit there and don't have the phone open or anything like that. Sometimes I'll talk with my wife, but most of the time I will just listen to what's going on outside, because I can always hear people out in the distance and the trees blowing around and things like that, and thinking about things, and and trying to pay attention to the way that I like my body feels and the way that my emotions feel. And over time, and I think I'm kind of only just barely starting down this path, but it seems to me that over time you start to become more aware of what's going on inside of yourself, and you'll become much more likely to realize that you're tilted and that you're revenge trading. I can certainly tell now when I am scared. And good morning, Ace. How's it going? So, I wish that it was a subject that I knew a lot more about. And if you find something, then, please come back and let us know, because I don't know of like a specific book that you can read that solves the problem or whatever. People have been recommending The Disciplined Trader to me as a book. But, I at least know where the path begins. Yeah. So I hope that helps you. Shalian. Is that Shalian? Yeah, I think that is how you say it. Trump does not want to look weak, neither does she now. Just where will this lead us to? Oh, and I should mention Ace is looking at a short, which is interesting. I kind of feel like for today that unless something crazy happens, that we should have a little bit of a recovery. So I don't know if a short is the right thing for me. We're just gonna watch here. It was 54.75. Okay, so you would have gotten filled. So let's just see what it does and keep track of it. I might be getting a little sick. My glands here feel like weird. There is something going on in the 30-year. So on the trade thing, I am seeing a lot of people going on about like this is all just like a dick waving contest sort of a thing. And I'm not so sure that that's a useful way of looking at things. I think that Donald Trump sees that the United States has certainly lost money from China, and that the United States is basically losing from this deal now. And I think that China, that's basically all that they have. And so you kind of have an intractable situation where their interests just aren't aligned. And that the problem is I don't think that the Chinese really understand free markets. I don't think that they really believe in free markets. If they did, then they would say, okay, we should do what is fair and free. And if you do what's fair and free, then everybody's going to be happy in the end. But it just don't feel to me right now like that China wants to do that. So that's kind of what I see going on is I don't feel like that the Chinese are being honest negotiators. But you know what? My view of that is going to be, very biased because I'm in the United States. So, I guess I should take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so Shalin has another comment here. I have to really change something. I mean, I only trade my setups and don't overtrade. Managed to beat the first valuation in 15 to 20 trading days and then crumbled the second and not even last week. It's exhausting and frustrating. And the worst part, afterwards, I always realized that it was 100% my fault, not the markets, not the setups. Well, that is interesting. So, the first thought that comes to my mind is, what are you trading that you're beating the evaluation several times in 15 to 20 trading days? That's really good. Are you trading like oil? That sounds to me like an oil trader. But I mean, that's really good if you're making that kind of money. But well, and good morning, Nicholas. How is it going? By the way, thank you very much for your tweet yesterday. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get an interaction on Twitter a day, and to have somebody come in and just unprompted thank us for the room was meant a lot to me. So thank you very much. I trade CL, NG, and ES. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Because man, CL, when you're in tune with the markets, you can totally pass that combine. But then when you're off, it just rips your face off, right? So that's the first thing that I would realize, Shalian, is that it's what you're experiencing is not uncommon, and you're probably beating yourself up a little bit too much. You're saying, I really, really need to change something, and you're probably feeling really bad because you know that it's all you, and that the only thing in this equation that's not doing what it needs to is you. You can really beat yourself up, but you need to realize that what you're experiencing is so incredibly common in CL. That is why she is the crazy bitch, right? She will tell you that you're a good trader, and then all of a sudden flip around and just rip it right off. Nicholas says that there's too much volatility these days. I agree. I am not too happy with the way that this market is going right now. It's actually, now that we're up here at this 22, it's actually telling me that there might be a reversal. So they made one tick higher, and maybe they're going to reverse. But it's at 7 o'clock, so I don't know if I want to trade that. Anyways, what was I going to say? So yeah, I would maybe look at it. So one thing that you could do is try, just as an experiment, try trading the Treasuries for a week or two. Because the 10-year is the most boring instrument. It is really the most boring instrument. It moves slow. You don't get a lot of ticks. You have to be patient. And I've found that watching that kind of changes you a little bit. And if you are impulsive, it can really help with that. So that might be one thing. It depends on what really your problem is. If your problem is just impaired decision making, um, you know, that's going to come over time. I don't know how long you've been trading, but I think that people tend to go through these different stages of trading. So one thing what'll happen is at the very beginning, you'll just lose all the time. And then you'll start to get this thing where you make a little, you make a little, you make a little, and then you'll lose a ton. And that happens because that's our psychology. Is like we're more afraid of losing things. That makes a bigger psychological impact on us when we lose things than when we make. And so it causes us to take our profits too quickly because we're afraid of losing our profits. And it causes us to hang on to our losers because we hope that it'll come back because we just don't want to lose money. And that kind of what leads to that. So you might consider, am I actually taking the targets that I should be? With my strategy, one of the things that has helped me at least is that I know based on my stats how many ticks my setup tends to make, because a lot of the time it gives 3 ticks and then that's it. And I also know what the swings are. So right now we're having 5 to 6 tick swings. So that kind of helps me adjust my risk. And so I know based on what the market's doing, what I should be getting. And so if I get in and I'm only taking 1 tick or whatever, then immediately I know, okay, I'm too afraid of losing. What there was something else I was gonna suggest. Then after that, what can happen is you start to get into this thing where you lose a little, you lose a little, you lose a little, and then you make a really big winner, which is a different psychological problem that I have often, which is you're just trying to hit for too big. And that often happens when you've been in a really good market and you're not adjusting to the lower volatility. But what you want to get into is, a little winner, little winner, little winner, and then a big winner, and then maybe you lose a little bit, but it's just kind of, the little ones. And you avoid a bad day that's super, super bad. And I think that you will find as you trade, you just kind of get better at it. And every time that you go into those bad times, that they're just, a little bit better every time. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to completely change everything, You just keep going down the path, make little adjustments as you can find them, and try and become more in tune with yourself. And somehow you just kind of figure it out. I've found that the things that make a big difference in my performance have always been little things. It's always been little things. I think that we're always looking for some really big thing. Okay, so Ace took a loss on that, although he could have gotten a point from it. This market just doesn't seem ready to move. I think they're waiting for the open to see what's going to happen. Did we have some numbers today? I didn't look at that. Maybe that's something that I think I'm missing here. Oh, FOMC member Evans speaks. Okay, I did see some tweets about him, but it didn't seem like he was saying anything important. And there's the JOLTS job openings at 8 o'clock, but that tends to not be an incredibly important number. Oh, and then we have the auctions later this week. That matters too. Okay. Tends to make us buy more, but since we're already up so much, gee. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that you asked the question, Shalian. Because it's one that's not doesn't really have a clear answer, and it's one that everybody struggles with. you know. But your story, it sounds familiar to me. So we have I've heard from a lot of people where they got funded and then they lost it, and they're usually trading oil. Oh man. Let's come back to here. Oh, cool. Well, my reversal setup, if we had gotten hit at 22, which I mean you could have if you were quick enough, but then you'd only have 2 ticks. So even though it was a valid signal and I think I should have taken it, I'm okay that I didn't. I think that we might not have a much market movement until the E-mini opens, unfortunately.
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Shalian _ I would say my problem at the second step to be calm and just trade my plan. I always lose my cool and trade things I shouldn't trade. Regardless if it's on CL, NG. Rest Ream Bot said YouTube, Ace Trades now looking for a revenge trade, just click all over the place frantically, LOL.
Right. Like, I'm not a reversal trader, and sometimes when tilted, I try to go against the trend and things get worse 90% of the time, or my most stupid habit, which destroyed me last time, I didn't want to accept that I am in a loser, and instead of taking a small loss, I move my stop and the rest is obvious. Maybe trying medication. Well, so here's another question. Have you been diagnosed with ADHD? Because if you've been diagnosed with ADHD, you tend to have a diminished ability compared to other people.
Rest Ream Bot said
to control
YouTube,
your emotions.
Ace Trades the robot sounds like it is one punch in the face from going down.
So are you not a fan of the robot? I'm trying. I don't know what to do here because I really want to keep my eyes here, and you guys are all the way over here. And Twitch is way over here. I just can't see everything that I want to see at once. So I like having it read out, but then the readout includes that whole big thing at the top, and it doesn't read out very quickly. I read it faster than it does. And then when you guys are posting a ton of them, a ton of comments, then it gets all messed up. Yeah. Anyways, I was going to say, if you're ADHD, you should get medication. I know from personal experience that you will trade better on Adderall because
Rest Ream Bot said
you can control your emotions.
Ace Trades, it's all good. It will help keep you focused. Also, I'm a gay robot. Watch me dance.
Now Ace is going to try all of the crazy things that you can get it to do. It reads out like the emojis and stuff too, which is great. Now they're really going down. So it kind of ranged there, but they're giving a continuation now. And the E-mini is moving up. I think they're Ace. It looks to me like that, at least currently, that the E-mini is in pullback mode from all of this craziness that we've had in the past day. And maybe if you had seen a long signal, it would have been worked out better. Or definitely got more long, so maybe he will get a long signal now. Larry Kudlow is on CNBC right now.
Rest Ream Bot said Twitch, Shalian _ I honestly don't know. Never thought about it. ADHD. Rest Ream Bot said YouTube, Ace Trades, I am a robot. I will take over the world. I will start by murdering your family at night. The birds get it first.
The birds get it first. You know what? Those birds, I've been letting them out more. And sometimes that baby bird just screams and screams and screams. I don't know what to do about him. I do not think that getting rid of them is an option. But man, you know, the thing that's really funny, something that's funny is that my wife, she wants to get she I think that in her heart, she wants to get rid of him. She goes back and forth. Sometimes she says that she really hates Jerry and that she thinks he's mean. But then he'll be nice to her and she's like okay with it, right? But
Rest Bot said YouTube, Ace trades okay, I got that out of my system, no more making the robot say crazy things.
So, anyways, and my ex misses the bird. It was her bird. And she kind of, well, I wouldn't say that she abandoned it. I mean, her living situation didn't make it acceptable. You know, she couldn't have the bird with her living situation. And I guess she's engaged now and they have like big dogs. And so couldn't have the bird there either. But she would really like to have him back. And so I've said, it's like, well, you know, we could give them to her. She said like, well, I can't have them right now, but if you're going to get rid of them, don't get rid of them. I'll do something if you absolutely have to get rid of them. So I've been like, well, you know, we can get rid of them. But then she's like, no, absolutely. She doesn't want the ex to have them. She would probably be okay with anybody else. Like if my mom wanted him, she would be all over it, right? Of course, my mom would hate birds, but I'm just saying. Okay, so I've honestly never thought about it. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't think that what you're experiencing is terribly unusual. So I wouldn't go off and do anything rash. You know, I would just this is an experience sort of a thing. You know, you keep trading, keep your risks small until you've figured that particular problem out. When you get into that mode, switch it off quickly. Like, you know, here in Jigsaw, I can switch between accounts really easy.
Said YouTube, Ace trades sometimes when Seth is out of the room. I have crazy robot sex with the copy machine and the shredder.
The shredder. I don't have a shredder.
Rest now I have to go get one. YouTube, Ace trades okay, that was it, I promise. For now.
So they've really come down here now. Now that the E-mini has been gearing up, going a little bit higher, the treasuries have really fallen. I guess there could be moving because Cudlow was talking, right? So I don't think that I can read this.
Rest Bot said YouTube, Greg Orlowski hi Seth, how much of a delay with YouTube?
So with YouTube, the delay can vary. Okay, it's typically only 5 seconds. Sometimes there can be this, you can get off sync and your delay can actually end up being more than what it actually is at the moment. So sometimes you have to refresh the window. At least that's what I've found, and people have told me that. But it tends to be about 5 seconds. Twitch apparently is faster. Twitch, it's like 2 seconds, I think. You know, I should check something here really quick. Here on my live dashboard. Oh, why is it like that? It looks like Google changed the way that they track the cookies because it's not remembering who I'm logged in as. Boom, boom, boom. I'm wondering here.
Rest Bot said YouTube, Ace trades if you pull up your clock. You can measure the delay by looking at Seth's clock in the bottom corner.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I have that clock that shows you the
Rest
seconds.
Bot said YouTube, Greg Orlowski good idea.
So something that I could maybe do is I could change. How about we do it as an experiment tomorrow? I can change the resolution to be 1080p. I'm streaming in 1440p just because that's what my screen resolution is. But I don't think it should be a big deal to change it to 1080p. You're probably watching it in 1080p anyways. And then I can change the stream optimizations to be ultra low latency. And that might work better for you. But I don't know. I'm on the other hand, there shouldn't be anything that is like incredibly time dependent, you know, like you'll see the comments and I'll respond to the comments. There'll be a few seconds delay. It's,
Rest
you know, no
Reambot
big
said
deal.
YouTube. Greg Orlowski about 13 seconds. I was just worried about your own data feed.
Oh, okay.
We're good, just YouTube delay.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Rest
I hope it's
Reambot
not
said
because
Twitch,
you're watching me for something.
Shalian _ I guess a daily loss limit is a good idea. Using Sierra chart and have to check it. So at least I can avoid a stupid $1,000 day.
Yeah, exactly. The daily limits is, you know, you put a point at which you say, when I'm tilting, this is how much I've lost, you know, and you got to put something in there. And for me, it's number of trades. And another thing that I'll do is I'll say, you know, if I've taken X trades that day and I'm not doing really well, then I stop. You know, because you can, especially in treasuries, you can really kill yourself with the commissions, you know. I'm wondering. Oh, that's weird. Twitch was on a strange channel. Oh yes, Kudlow is still speaking. That's why I was kind of just not touching this, even though it's really moving. China weakening yuan may push money out of China. Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that if Bitcoin is any indication, where is it? If Bitcoin is any indication, it is absolutely, without question, pushing money out of China. Now, there's some weird stuff going on in Bitcoin too, though, because there was a big buy there and then a big sell. It seems to me like that the whales may be using this push up in China to get out, which, you know, it could be really bad if these guys aren't there to stay in Bitcoin. Then we could have a really big sell-off after all of this volatility calms down. But it may also give a lot more value on the blockchain and might allow us to hold better levels in Bitcoin. So.
Rest Reambot said YouTube. Ace trades another short set up for 2,859.50 but too close to open.
Okay. The economic burden of these tariffs is falling almost 100% on China. Ooh, so you know what? I was going through this yesterday. I saw a comment on Reddit that kind of exposed this scenario to me. But, you know, I looked through it a little bit better and kind of, you know, did the math myself. And they have a point. China is paying for it. So think of this. Let's say that you have a product that's $10. And we put a tariff on it for $1. Okay? So now you, the customer, are paying $11, right? But then China comes along and they devalue their currency so that it's worth $10 again. Then what happens is you're paying $10, but the government is making $1 off of it, right? So yes, you pay for the whole cost of the thing, but are you really the one that's paying for the tariff? I mean, you pay the tariff, yes, but you're paying what you would have before because China devalues their currency. So who really is taking the brunt of it? China is, because they're not making as much. And the US, they're not making as much because their currency has been devalued. And the US government makes revenue from it. I kind of feel like My first thought when I saw that they were devaluing the yuan was like, China uses currency devaluation. China hurt itself in confusion. That's like what's going through my head when I see that. And then when they labeled them a currency manipulator, I was like, well, it's about time. But the funny thing is that it seems that the currency manipulation was that they were holding a peg, and that the yuan is worth almost 40% less than what they're saying it is. Which means that they are a currency manipulator, but the reason that it fell was because they temporarily stopped manipulating it. Which is why they're being all coy about it. Oh, we didn't manipulate the currency. We didn't do anything. Yeah, right. You knew. And especially if the thing is you could be a big buyer and you could be holding the market. And when you're a big buyer, that could, dissuade other people from coming in and stepping in. And so when that big buyer goes away, of course it falls. Trump imposes total economic embargo on Venezuela. Is that justified? I don't know. We'll see. I think that there will be some interesting conversations on that later today. Maybe neutral politics might be a place that discusses that. Okay, so we're getting something here. I don't like where we are in relation to the open, so I think that I'm going to stay out. It kind of sucks seeing that move down and not participating in it, but here was the reversal. I think that the reversal really was worth 2 ticks, and then this whole thing, that was just Larry. And since I'm not listening to him, and I've always found that when those guys get on television that it can be a nasty trade for you. So, you could have been long and had that thing run in your face. Good grief. Let's see here.
Rest Reambot said YouTube, Ace trades sometimes sitting on hands is a way to make money by not losing money.
Yeah. Kudlow was made for this job. He has an incredible ability to talk at length without saying anything. That's great. No, you know what? I have to do it from over here. One of the people I follow on Twitter that's a streamer just that lives here in Utah was saying, I wonder how many subscribers I would lose if I started doing cosplay streams. Oh, jeez. The wording of the current law does not automatically force a prime minister to resign in the aftermath of a no confidence vote. If the first step goes as planned, Boris Johnson could resign as prime minister. Mr. Johnson's team is likely to ignore this conversation. Wait, what? What's going on? Hold a no confidence vote to bring down the government in an attempt to prevent a no deal. Oh, I see. But will MPs really vote against their own party? Uncertain. Have somebody on a troll on DLive. Why would you do that? You know, there's hardly anybody uses DLive, and you're going to go around the platform. How are you going to help the platform? By going around to other people's streams and spreading negativity. Okay, have fun, buddy. They did kind of turn there. Buy in at 1758. Oh, is that on gold? That's not bad. That's a pretty good profit in gold, no? I'm not familiar with what the value per tick of that instrument is, but I used to, and my recollection is that's pretty good. We're getting some offers here, which is kind of unusual. They might plow through them. Oh, Amazon. Sold my Amazon position in the pre-market. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I think that I think today could be a pullback day. It's very unusual to have like 3 super crazy big down days in a row. Usually, you're going to get a little bit of a pullback. Kudlow is touting a boom in U.S. capital goods orders, non-defense ex-air. Anyone able to find the boom? And Forex Live posts a picture. So what that thing was with the EU is they're saying it seems that Boris Johnson is just going to go head first into a no deal Brexit. And so if he does, then some of the other people are saying that maybe they need to hold a no confidence vote to get rid of him. But they're pointing out that he doesn't necessarily have to leave if they do a no confidence vote. So we move down. They're going to push back up into the range. Well, they're back at 19.5, which is a point of control. E-mini's still not open. I'm a little surprised. Tuesdays are usually okay. But today, things have been really tough. Only had one really good trade, and it was kind of a news event. I don't like that. I don't like it, folks. A little bit of iceberging there at 19.5. So are they maybe trying to stop it from getting back into the range? Previous support is now resistance? Well, we didn't. We usually get a big spike just before the E-mini open, and we didn't really get that today. That's kind of weird, too. It's just kind of slow. President Shithole Invader Rapist Caravan calls for an end to racist rhetoric. Okay. Okay, there goes the e-minis. So they buy it a little bit on the open. Not a ton, but I think I'm sweating more than usual today. Probably I'm gonna already smell. No, we're okay. My body odor can be terrible because my digestive system is messed up, and no deodorant is safe when I'm just sitting there. Like, don't sit like this at your computer, folks. That's what does it. So when you keep your armpits closed, you need to let it breathe. I know that's what we've been reduced to at this stream here. Talking about body odor now. There probably are a lot of traders out there that that need some tips on it though. So okay, they're moving back down again as the E-mini buys. I'm tempted to just buy it. We could just buy it. No, we don't play the open. This is a pretty solid move down, but we didn't quite make it very far. I'm not getting a change in interest either. Hmm. There you go. This is a happy occasion, folks. It's moving up, and we're just kind of like, yawn. This is so boring. The E-mini's buying. I do think that they could buy this, though. The thing is, when I woke up yesterday and I saw how far the treasuries had moved, and then I read that it was because China devalued their currency, I thought that we were witnessing like a financial apocalypse. But now, after a day, I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's just the same thing that they do. We put tariffs on and they devalue their currency. And this is probably going to continue until after the election. So, does it really change much? I mean, I don't think that the E-mini should be at all-time highs, but it's not the end of the world, you know? Gudlow tells reporters Trump administration not presently considering any other steps regarding China's currency moves. Okay, cool. So they're going to label them a currency manipulator and not do anything, which means that story basically is a nothing burger. They can do things. It does matter. They can do sanctions and stuff, but if they're not going to make any other moves, then who cares? There was a little bit of a turn there, but there wasn't the associated interest with it. And they mostly appear to be moving down because of the E-mini. The E-mini did buy, but it wasn't. I'm not sure if it was enough. I'm not sure if it was enough, to be honest. Okay. Something going on right there. I'm gonna move the treasuries back up. Okay. Well, they held that. Okay. And it's a very aggressive downtick there in the 10-year. So there was a little bit of a pullback there, and it didn't pull back very much in volume though. And the treasuries just ticked up. Looking for a sellable rally. Says zero hedge, of course. I don't really see anything on the level 2 to tell us much of anything. Okay. So it's given a potential sell again, but the E-mini is not clear enough to say. It's funny, we got like a lot of people watching now. Now that we're kind of quiet. If you should go back, you want to hear the earlier conversation about tilt days and stuff. That was much more interesting. But you can rewind if you want to do that. Okay. So another little swing up. It gave me an area of interest, and it's just going sideways from here. So I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not too encouraging. Though there's an uptick, and I'm also not seeing it stack on the uptick at all. All these other channels are super quiet too. Pico says funds all buying today. First attempt for the season in Discord there. Okay. Ooh. What was that? China might escort Chinese commercial vessels in Gulf waters under a U.S. proposal for a maritime coalition to secure oil shipping lanes. Its UAE envoy said Tuesday. Kudlow says Trump administration will help farmers with more assistance if needed. Okay. Curious. I didn't think that either of those two headlines that I just read justified what we just saw. I am seeing some bids being placed. But the E-mini is moving higher. HSBC has outsized exposure to the Hong Kong real estate market. A crisis here could cripple the largest UK bank. Money China says Trump accepts Xi's invitation to visit China. Then Zero Hedge retweets that this Money China account puts out news which is faker than the Kardashians' butt. That might be what pushed us down. Believe it or not. Well, I don't know why any trading robots would be paying attention to that account, but I mean, you can't deny that we moved down here. I'm feeling kind of sleepy, to be honest. I want to close my eyes and just kind of drift off here. It's getting hard to focus. Well, now they've developed a range down here. They're kind of looking like they want to try and make a push back up into where they were to 18.5. Okay. Are getting bids. Maybe turn lower here. Maybe. Oh, you can get messages on Twitch now, huh? That was a couple of days ago. Man, I really dislike this volatility in the ES too fast for me, and I find moves harder to anticipate. Yeah. Well, this whole environment. So they were talking about this in the Discord earlier. Somebody was saying, is it trading better or worse when we enter into this kind of environment? And the only thing that I can say is just whenever you get an extreme in a market, it's hard to trade. I've done okay. I've done okay in this action, but I find it hard to trade. I mean, I haven't taken a trade today. I'm just not, you know, they're not giving me very good looks. And it's a little frustrating because you'll just get these moves for no reason. The E-mini might be turning down, interestingly enough. But the Treasury is in a kind of an ugly area. It's a little all over the place. Ace says he got a short signal at 28.67. Oh, it's already too late. This is a continuation. Boom. Okay, so there they just pushed through the opening price and are pushing now lows of the regular session. Treasury's not quite ticking yet. And down tick, in fact, as I reset my DOM there. Interesting. Yeah, 5-year kind of. We're getting a little bit of a push and pull between the 5-year and the 10-year. 10-point drops in 2 minutes. It kind of looked long, and then something like that. Yeah, exactly. It was looking really positive until that happened. I didn't see any news come out. How have all ED traders not quit in disgust? Yet these moves with the customary leverage below outside of daily VAR risk thresholds on a daily basis. I don't know what ED is, but okay. There you go. Uptick. So now the question is, so now we are basically to right about where they were just before the open. It's selling. That was a pretty dramatic sell. The seller's much more aggressive there for some reason. Well, but probably because the E-mini got back above the open. Okay. Tons of bids there at 17.5. Okay. So when it does that, that can means that could mean long, but ooh, what? Really? It's acting really weird here. Okay, so I'm a little unhappy with how I got filled there because there was a stack there on the offer when they hit it. See that? Yeah. Shit. It's weird when the ES is more volatile than the CL. Well, I mean, they're both pretty volatile, right? Yeah, I'm really unhappy with what I just did there. Kind of gave me a spot. Didn't really actually end up being one. But I'm kind of seeing that this is just a really big, wide, choppy range. And I was probably making entries in an area that I should not have been. I did a good job getting out where I did, though. Okay. There was a bid there that pulled a stack. I think I was too early. Shit. It's kind of acting weird. Okay, that's a little better. Good job. They might be trapped here now. I don't know if that one really. Well, I don't know. I think I need to. I think I don't like the way that it's ticking, but this is all within the parameters of the trade, so I think I'm supposed to keep it. But I'm really tempted to just Puke. Look at the way the 5 year is ticking back and forth here too. It's making the 10 year level 2 go crazy. What are the BBZL and SSSS? So I don't know what I was thinking when I put the SSS there. I think that was like a really long time ago. There was a really strong sell there, and so I put that there like months ago. But the BBZL is the bull bear zone, and the way that you calculate the bull bear zone is you look at the overnight session and you see from the open to the high and the open to the low of the overnight session, which was greater, and then you take the 50% retracement of that move. And if we're above that, then we tend to buy, and if we're below that, we tend to sell. Which, by the way, buying here is probably not the position that we want to take, but it's giving us a reversal here. It may actually be giving us the golden signal here now, in fact, which means that it's going to be particularly stingy here. Anyways, I hope that made sense. Maybe I can show it on the chart here. Okay. The open. Oh man, it's such a long overnight session. Okay. Here was where we opened, and here was the extreme of the overnight. So you go from here to here, and then you go 50%. And then the bull bear zone is basically an 8 tick range around that. What it's doing right now is still okay, but it's telling me that at the very least I could have gotten an extra tick. Okay, E-mini is starting to look really, really negative now. Look at that. Somebody tried to push it down. And not succeed, though. There's a little sell sweep, and they immediately came back. Somebody's sweeping it. Oh, now that's interesting. It seems to me in the E-mini right now that when we... Okay, what's going on here? When we move up, there's a ton of interest, and they hold it and push it back down. The Treasuries are experiencing a very high degree of interest here now at 17. Okay. That was weird. 1,000 hit 17.5 just all of a sudden. Can you write that up in Discord? The bull bear zone. Sure. Well, I sure don't like the way this is ticking, man. I would just wish that they would stick a fat bid at 17.5 and move up. The E-mini did buy there. That's curious. He says, I agree, it's a mess. So this spot right here, 28.65, is a key level from way back. I don't know exactly when it was, but there
IQ
was
said
some
thanks,
stuff
Seth.
earlier. No problem. Okay, we did get an uptick. So I'm not seeing the big orders tick with it. In fact, the big orders have kind of disappeared. That makes me a little uncomfortable. Cumulative delta has been short through this area. Hmm. And that's just edge robots. There was a bid. Nope. That sucks. Well, the E-mini seems to be pulling it out. 2,900 evens area is where IQ is looking. Hmm. I might be getting another one here. Let's see. This whole thing is odd. I don't need a target. I need an entry. Lol. Yeah. Something's going on. Well, I think that the something that's going on is nothing is going on. It seems like that the large institutions don't seem interested in here. I think that the Yemeni may eventually win out and move up, but it just looks like the big guys are just dead here. For whatever reason, they're not interested. There was some news here, wasn't there? What was the news? Uh, didn't even see it pull for that. Gosh. It was 7.35 versus an expected 7.34. Seeing is just kind of shoving it around. Maybe some bits showing up here now. Hmm. Okay. Well, that's really weird. This last one, it was like I thought it was a signal and it wasn't. This other one, it may still be the buy. Oh, man. Ah, man. That sucks. So let's go put a note on that trade there. This one. I thought it was a reversal signal, but it wasn't. It just kind of ranged and then stopped me out. It didn't do that correctly. I thought I had a signal, but it was not, and then I stayed in it for too long and it just stopped me out. Eh. Okay. these ones. The first one, oops, didn't take me to the right spot. This one, where was it? Right here. This first one, I did a continuation and then reversal, reversal. Okay. Hmm. I want to go short, but it's not giving me enough. Now it's giving me something in the 30 year. So the problem with this one is it does look like that some buyers are trapped, but if the E-mini decides to go to new lows, then all bets are off. Hmm. Whoa. What the heck? Moving down together? Ouch. The bid at 17 and a half. Come back. Jeez. Should have just taken 3, huh? Fuck. Mr. Library says, "What's up?" Well, you know what? We're in a trade and it's not working out so hot. Well, it worked out really great, and then it reversed on us so hard. I'm kind of at a loss as to understand what's going on. It seems to me like it's just moving around a lot. The large interest has shown back up. They seem like they're offering. I don't understand why it moved so quickly there. But I'm definitely done for the day. They're pretty bad run there. So this is the 10-year Treasury. I have to say my signals there are not working very well. This may yet turn out for us, but it's already not acting right, you know? Okay, so there was a little bit of a turn there in the E-mini. Jeez. See, the move down when I first got a few ticks was really strong. The move up was really strong. That move down again was really strong. So I think that we're just in really low liquidity, I guess. $19-point swing move in ES. Down, yeah. That move down was kind of like out of nowhere, wasn't it? It seems like they're just really intent on selling it though. A little bit too intent on selling it, to be honest. Because I'm not necessarily seeing the signs that I normally would on like another trend day down. And the chances of today being a down day are very low. But, you know, if any day was going to fail, if any time period was situation that was statistic was going to fail, it'd probably be here, wouldn't it? See, it's giving me the reversal again. They want to fool the sellers? Maybe. It kind of looks to me like I was on the wrong end of this, though. Because there was my signal. A lot more activity on this way up. Here, maybe this is a I don't know what this is. Maybe this is a reversal higher. And they're still selling the E-mini. I think I'm just on the wrong side of this, guys. Which is funny because I've been on the wrong side of it both ways somehow. And even when I look back at the charts, they don't seem like there was the good one, right? Seems unclear. That one, maybe that one was good, but okay, now we're seeing a little bit more Um, Pushback in the E-mini. Wow. He just got plowed. Well, can't say what that signal was supposed to be. Maybe it's a continuation. 2,800 now? No, 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 no. That was overnight, huh? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to say that my style was this was the kind of the action that we needed, huh? Because that none of those worked out. Now 5 in a row that did not work out. I'm not quite sure I understand why. So here's 9, 9, 10. Okay, so that's one thing that maybe I could have considered was that the swing just wasn't right. Okay. So then that means if we get it here, and we will. Okay, well, that's not the way you want to get filled necessarily. The buyer's going to finally pull this out in the E-mini. Hmm. I'm kind of seeing the big orders are gone again. Okay. Was that last one stopped out? It was. Jeez. Hmm. Hmm. It's being awfully difficult here. Hmm. Man, so that one, when I shorted it at 19, I actually got 4 ticks out of that at one point. It's kind of weird. I think that this might have been a case where, because the E-mini was the most dominant thing, that it would have been better to have just traded the E-mini if I really needed to trade. I think that's what happened here, because, well, we're getting 4 ticks back. If it only gives us 4 and then it pushes higher, then I'm gonna be upset. But we've been in almost 5 minutes. And they did make it back to above this where there was a big order that they fell through. So I'd say that looks positive for ES, but there's a couple of big orders above us and stuff. Okay. Oh, really? That was an aggressive pushback there. But the liquidity is so low, it's hard that those kinds of ticks might not mean anything. In regular action, that could have been a really good long signal, but now, yeah, they did turn. It's kind of weird. Let's see, now it's above. It's like they're gonna go and stop me out, and then they're gonna go down. So if I look here, even looking back on my charts, I'm like, maybe I missed something. Well, there's an iceberg buying. That's not a good sign. Hmm. And they go up and they take the stop again. I just don't quite understand. Well, I think too much whipsaw for me. How much? How did you do? I did so terrible, Lucas. I'm still trading it because I want to try and follow the strategy and get my stats and everything. See, it's telling me to reverse here. And the thing is, I am getting some favorable ticks, but I'm only getting like 2 to 4, and I'm missing the larger swings. And it's just like, it's really bizarre how this is just completely flipped on me. Now, the one that I can't see is this one down here. That was a reversal. That was a buy. I just wasn't in a good enough spot. It went too far. And then it reversed. I was early to that trade. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Jeez. Because I'm getting in too early. Let's just see. Because the one thing that's different is that it doesn't look like the large orders are that involved right now. Okay. Hmm. But I'm just wondering if maybe what's happened is we've entered into a very high interest, low liquidity area, but the institutions for the moment haven't really changed their mind and aren't trying to make any kind of a larger move. And so we're getting a lot of wild, volatile action because it's only retail traders, and so it's tending to go a little bit further than it should, and so maybe I'm early to the trades or it's just being random. Although I'd have to say random doesn't really work. Maybe the other thing is just that I'm supposed to be taking these as continuations. That one certainly could have been a continuation for a few. That one was a continuation. That one was, I guess, a continuation. I'm short because it said to. Been watching Treasuries, and I don't think they're the right market for me. I think I would consider more overtrading because, yeah, if it's a loser, I can get out with just half a tick or something like that. But several of those are going to rip me. Well, that's true. But you know what? The way that it's moving today is not normal, so I wouldn't try and read too much from what it's doing today. I find it interesting that the Treasuries bought through here, even though the E-mini didn't really fall apart. We're getting a zipper here. The other silly thing is that I had those ones. You know, was pretty good some of these other days at getting, the two or three. And, I had one that was four and one that was two. I didn't take the profits on those ones because I thought I'm being a little too scaredy pants. Let's see, that one's failing. Yep. Mm-hmm. No Monkey says, "Looks like you're doing some fine scalping lately." And well, not today. Let's not, let's be honest. Today has been terrible. So things were doing really super great until today. There's something about today that I seem to be misreading. I think if I wasn't watching that, I would maybe. Well, I don't know. Thing is I just really don't understand. Well, okay, so when we were down here, that was when they started selling. When we're right here, see, like, since they've recovered, the treasuries keep buying. So that's what I'm. It's a little any kind of thing that I say, okay, maybe you could have done this, and then I go back and I look at it and it's nope, that wouldn't have worked either. All right. The thing that's so weird about this is that I'm taking it like, well, I know that I can get a few in a row, so let's just keep going and see what happens because we've never done that before. And it's no, it's just terrible. There have been 8 in a row. 8. So what I'm trying to understand is how can I get 8 losers in a row? If you okay, like if you get 3 losers in a row, like that can happen, you know. But like 8 losers in a row, and you've been going long and short, and it's just random action. You're doing something wrong. Is it just the range is too big for me now? I don't know. So here we're getting what we've gotten before. Okay, there's 2 ticks. And then back up. What broker do you use? Yeah, I use AMP. Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're the cheapest at least. I don't know if they're the best service or anything, but TD always had a lag during crazy volatility. Still a risk of ranging between 60 and 60.24. That's a long range. At this point, I think the downside risk is limited to 60 even. I think you might be doing wrong is taking part in this type of action. I might be wrong though, and there might be a way to trade this. Well, yeah, I think that you probably have a good point, Lucas. I'm just and Null Monkey thinks that it's going to continue higher. Well, I'm only taking it because of this. I'm only taking it because I saw the trap traders. We'll see what happens. It kind of seems to me like with this low liquidity that it's harder for them to trap traders. Okay, well, there was a really strong impulse up in the E-mini. How nice would it be if they came out with micro ZM like the micro ES? I mean, I would certainly enjoy that, but I really doubt that they would ever do that, you know? Because that's already pretty low risk in the 10 years. And it certainly couldn't be 10 to 1. Well, actually, maybe it could be 10 to 1. You make 1.5 dollars per tick. I suppose it could work. I just don't think that they have the incentive to do it. I don't think that there would be tons of people out there moving over to treasuries, you know? Like if you're a noob and you just don't want to take on a whole lot of risk, why would you trade the micro ZN instead of the micro ES? Now on the other hand, they could just say, "Hey, let's micro all the things." But I doubt it. I bet you though they're probably going to bring out micro oil. I mean, they would be dumb not to do micro oil, right? Yeah, micro oil would be awesome, says Nolunky. I agree. Well, so it looks like we got one that's at least 4 ticks. But then it comes back into, okay, is it going to reverse on us without giving me a clear warning? Another thing is perhaps I need to be watching the 5-year. You know, I have the 5-year on a chart like this, but I probably should. Let's do that. Yeah. I'll take it a second. Okay. So there's that. Haven't quite gotten 4 yet. ZF. Okay. You can see on that uptick that the 5-year, the 30-year ticked first. I can also see that the spread is steepening. Hmm. Do you watch the curve? Absolutely. I mean, not like super close, but I always want to know which direction it's going. Okay. Anyways, so the thing I was thinking, because Lucas was saying, you know, it's probably best to just not try and make a read. But I'm just wondering, you know, earlier when it was low liquidity, I was able to make some reads. So what is it about this particular set of circumstances that seems to be making a difference? And it seems to me like it's like the E-mini is in like a consolidation pullback kind of a day. So if there's not necessarily a fundamental reason to move, and just the fact that we've had these periods where there's no large orders at all, seems like the large orders are only getting involved after we're already moving. Yeah. So you said earlier that you had a trade amount limit. You took 8 or 9 trades so far. Curious what. So if I was trading this live, I would have been out after the first 3. So I'm taking more. So what I'll do is I'll switch over to a different account. You know, on this one, this is mostly to collect stats. So in my mind, it's kind of like, okay, We found a day where it doesn't work. We found this is the first time that this has acted like this, right? What size do you consider large? 400. Lots of 400 or more. I suppose it could be the case that um, they are. I should decrease that because the liquidity is lower, maybe, and should be looking at like 200 lots. Oh, I thought every trade so far was on a live. No, 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 no. No, if it was live, then it would be three losers in a row, and maybe four, and we're done. No, no. So what we did was I made this indicator. It seems pretty useful, although certainly not today. Today would be a bad example, but other days it's been really useful. So we tested it for 2 weeks to collect some stats and feel like we had a good idea of how it goes, and then we've kind of been forward testing it. Today is the first day that it's really done poorly. So I think that was always bound to happen, but I'm just surprised at how badly it did. That's the thing that's getting to me. And what is, the warning? I think, it just seems like it's a wild day. So if I'm always taking like against the grain sort of a trade, then of course it's not going to work out. But then I also don't understand how come some of those ones I didn't see them as continuations, you know? And I should be getting continuations like 40% of the time. I've been taking it as a reversal almost every time. So that's another thing. But it's just hard. I know that it doesn't. So we found some conditions where the way that I was taking those works poorly. But now the question is, what am I supposed to learn from that? Okay, so if it's don't trade it, what is this specific conditions that we want to avoid? White House trade advisor Navarro calls on Fed to cut interest rates by another 3/4 of a point or a full point by the end of the year to bring U.S. rates in line with rates elsewhere. Dear retirees, if you hoped not to work until you die, our condolences. Well, if he's saying something like that, you don't necessarily want to be short, do you? Market doesn't seem to be reacting though. Uh, uh, uh. Yeah. Now the E-mini's taking a dive. Shoot. Hmm. So I'm getting a few clicks. Some of it are asks pulling though. Do you consider the range of the overnight in your trading? Because often when the overnight was pretty volatile, the US session tends to be volatile as well with thin orders. Well, yeah. I mean, not that you necessarily need to look at the range, but it's pretty clear when it's volatile that it's volatile, right? I've never been able to come up with a study to say, oh, no, actually, I think I did once. I think I tried to do a correlation between what was the range of the overnight versus the range of the regular session, and I found that there wasn't a strong enough correlation to consider it. But there might be some other way of doing that that I need to, you know? Uzi says no trades today, conflicting biases. Well, Uzi always tends to do really well. I kind of get the feeling that some of you guys are kind of sitting there doing the same thing that I am, going like, well, man, Seth has been doing just so awesome this past week, and now all of a sudden it's just a total dumpster fire. What happened? Do you ever trade? No, I really think that I should just stick to the 10-year. Maybe an e-mini trade every once in a while. But I'm glad I didn't mess with the e-mini today, man. Look, what a crazy. Zero Hedge says, in 1 year, Navarro and Trump will call for modern monetary theory because everyone else will be doing it then. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Yeah, it's not. I'm a little bummed out, but at the same time, this is something that we knew was going to happen and had to happen. Was if I traded it mechanically, that eventually there was going to be a day where it just totally doesn't work, and that was today, totally. So the question now is just, why did it stop working? What is it about this market that makes it stop working? And to me, it's not enough just to say that it's random, because the edge was basically negative. And a lot of those, I never even got favorable ticks. I think on some of those, I maybe, because I was only giving it 2 ticks of risk, I maybe that's why those ones so many. Another thing that I'm noticing is that I'm seeing those spikes a lot. And I'm seeing those robots a lot. The low liquidity, perhaps. Well, for sure. But I think that we have to say it's more than just the low liquidity, because we've had low liquidity for over a week now, and I was still doing okay in some of those spots. In fact, I was doing really well in some of those spots. I also point out that there was some trades, earlier that totally, like this one right here. Where was it? Around here, that I could have taken short. But look at the spikes. There's way more of them today. And look at the big orders. There are, some spots where they have completely disappeared. So I think it's more than just the low liquidity. Well, it says your indicator is based on the liquidity. If it's low and wishy-washy, I'd say no, because it's not. I wouldn't say it's based on the liquidity. I don't think that that's accurate. Because if it was based on the liquidity, then it would be based on what is the total amount being bid or offered at any given price. But it's not based on that, right? It's based on the changes in liquidity. It's based on the liquidity changing a lot because people's interests have changed. I think what is happening here, well, I've already said this a few times, but I think what is happening is you have a situation, an odd situation, where the retail traders are really interested in trading it and the institutions are not as interested. And so it's not acting the same way. Also, the 5-year is probably a lot more dominant right now. So let's just see here. This is like our last one that we get to watch. You were getting one in the 5-year, the first one that we've seen in the 5-year. No, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna fill us, but let's see. Did you ever try trading the bond futures like the German Treasuries? Maybe it's to your liking. Um, I would like to try it, but I don't. I don't get data for them. So maybe LPs are just confused as fuck. Yeah. Well, do you want to try to become a full-time trader? Kind of yes and no. I mean, I would like to do this as a living, but I don't think that it would ever be. I think that I would still want to be doing other things, if that makes sense. But yeah, um, I was starting to feel really. I still feel really positive about this strategy and the things that we've learned from the indicator and stuff. It's just going to take a lot more experience to find where the pitfalls are, and I think that this is one of them.
IQZ said I.imager.com.
Oh, you know what? I had that the robot on the whole time, but I wasn't in the right channel. ES has increased volatility since the last Fed thing. What about the Treasuries, or is it just today? I would say, yeah, the Treasuries have had increased volatility since the Fed thing for sure. Just buy it and walk away. Yeah, no. I think it's a difference between when retail traders are dominant and big traders are dominant. And if the retail traders are dominant, then that would explain why you're getting so many spikes, because they're being extremely wishy-washy. And they don't really have the power to really move it. So they could just, all get in one side, and then suddenly one of the larger guys decides to finally move it against everybody. But there is a signal in the 5-year. That was one of the bigger questions. One of the questions that we had was, well, was there something in the 5-year we were missing? So we'll see if the 5-year turns down here. If that matters, because you're getting a spike in the 5-year and not the other ones. But anyways, I mean, this is all sim and the summer and everything, so it's good that we can see this. It's just a little bit disappointing that it becomes almost a negative edge, you know? Like, not only have I lost so many times in a row, but I had the winners that when I do catch a bit of a winner, it's barely anything. And when I catch the losers, it's like, whoa. What the fuck? Hello, 4,000 at 23. Well, boys, I'm glad that we got to see that. That was a little insane. And now we tick up, and it stacks up again. Huh. Well, I could be wrong here, but I think you sell that. But it could be a spoof, you know? It could be a trap. Normally, you see an order like that, they don't try and hold it, they would just sell down. So I'm really surprised here. Maybe he really wants to get filled. I don't know. Okay, so a little bit bought into it now, and it a little bit pulled, but it looks like he's gonna stick it out. Okay, now something's buying. Oh, geez. I don't know how I sometimes manage to stay calm and out the markets, and on other days I overtrade in 2 to 3 hours. Like today, I am only tried one trade and kept out of the market the rest of the time. I'm totally the same. I think that one of the things that a lot is traded into 22 half, and I don't like that because that's a possible indication that they were spoofing, and now it's not there anymore. Well, and now that you got a bid at 23, it's not filling. That was a spoof. That was a spoofy spoof. Yep.
Rest Ream Bot said YouTube, Uzi Nesset I'd be friggin' shocked if ZB reaches to retest its IB.
Okay. Well, interesting. So let's come back over here. That was a reversal. Man, some of these they're just bad, 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 bad. So in the past, I've been doing it like reversal or continuation, and I just kind of knew sometimes when it was going to be a continuation. Like this one right here was a continuation. It ended up being a continuation at least. Uh, I don't know how I was catching it before. Kind of weird. Now the interesting thing is going to be like, does this continue to act really, really poorly for me? But I don't want to beat myself up about it. It wasn't me. I think that for the most part, I did what I was supposed to do. So, should be interesting where it goes from here. Especially now that that guy came in and did that spoof. They're probably ready to go and try and kill the market again. We'll see if they get anything out of it. I'm still thinking about it, about that order. I'm wondering, oh, is that a problem? No, I mean, I think that I did okay reading it, but oh dear, did my plant is not looking so happy. I think we need to give it some water. Okay, well, you know what, guys, it's been too long. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, we have a better day then. Wednesdays are usually good, and in the meantime, stay pro.